Hi guys, my name is Aaisha and I'm a financial reporting tutor at Zell Education. I've happened to teach financial reporting here from past 3 years. I also happen to be a qualified ACCA and a CPA CGA from Canada. I've finished my ACCA certification through the traditional examination route, but I finished my CPA CGA, the Chartered Accountancy Certifications of Canada, via the exemption route. So there is a MRA between ACCA and CPA Canada, the benefit of which I could take, and I just had to appear for few modules. I really didn't even have to travel across to Canada to get this credential. I have happened to also finish few exams in Kuwait and few in India when I was doing my ACCA examination. So I'll just give you a little background about myself in terms of where I finished my education and everything. Till 2016, I was staying in Kuwait. My family still resides there. And in 2016, I've moved to India. So I had already started my certification there back in Kuwait. I finished half of the papers there and then I finished few papers here in India. So this is the kind of liberty ACCA is giving us. That is, wherever we travel, whichever part of the country we are in, you are in a position to give all the exams, you're in a position to complete the entire certification without any problem of facing a geographical barrier. In fact, when I even shifted to India, there was a lot of times when I would move back to Kuwait, I would travel a lot. So again, I would do few exams there also. So it's still in a very smooth manner, within say a span of 2.5 to 3 years, I was able to finish my entire ACCA certification. And like I've already explained y'all, that using the ACCA certification, I've also got the benefit of claiming the CPA and CGA. So yes, this was a little about myself. Today, I want to welcome you all to the Financial Reporting Masterclass, where we will discuss a few tips, tricks and strategies in how you could use this last week before the exam. So paper pattern, section A and B are objective type questions and they're from all over the syllabus, right? We can't cherry pick what topics are going to come here. Section C, whereas we are already well prepared or we are very well acquainted with what topics are tested here. We know that 99% one question is a ratio question, right? And the other question is either a single entity or a consolidation question. Okay, a very rare chance that a full-fledged cash flow can come here instead of these two, a very rare chance. Okay, so these are the marks distribution in front of you, and you also are aware probably that this is a 3-hour paper. So you have to be very smart with how you allocate your time. You cannot overspend time in section A or section B or section C, as you have to also finish the other sections or other topics as well. The best way you probably could approach this would be you can allocate 50 minutes for section A, 50 minutes for section B, and section C, one question each. You can give 40 minutes. That's how you can probably utilize your 3 hours. Okay, now moving ahead, my tips for how you could use this last week I've right now divided for 2 groups: the students who are well prepared, and then there are students who probably couldn't prepare well because of certain job commitments or certain family commitments. So yeah, what could the well prepared ones do or use this last week for, or how? So first is I assume that when we say you're well prepared is you've got a chance to practice the exam kit questions once. Some of you all have also got a chance to practice it a second time or a third time. So by now you're already familiar with the repetitive adjustments that keep coming, or the repetitive questions that keep coming, right? What you must have, and you probably have also attempted mocks by now, right? So there are probably certain zones or certain areas when you were attempting mock, you realize you're not that good at, or you're not able to cater that well. So now is the time to pick on those categories or pick on those areas and start practicing them, or start becoming familiar with them. Become familiar with the unfamiliar content, or the content that makes you uncomfortable when you're doing the exams. Because you have already invested a lot of time on the repetitive ones, now you could utilize this time for the different content. Other than this, you also can use this time on drilling unique adjustments. So section C, like I already told you, will have either a single entity or consolidation question for sure. And if you observe the paper, if you observe the question pattern, we all know that after the PL and balance sheet or the trial balance, we have adjustments below that. And the adjustments are either repetitive in nature or they are unique, right? So majority of the adjustments are repetitive, but there'll be 1 to 2 adjustments which are unique in nature, which are surprise elements for us. What you should be doing in this last week is, you already have identified those surprise elements. You can pick those adjustments, and in exam style condition, meaning for 5 minutes, you're going to set a timer of 5 minutes for one adjustment maybe. And when I say exam style condition, you're not going to give yourself access to any books or any reading material, and you're slowly going to read the adjustment, reread it, and think about the standard that it relates to and how you can apply it right now. Okay, so when I say unique and when I say it's a surprise element, it is actually a surprise element, and you might not be comfortable with that adjustment, right? But that's the idea. The idea is to become comfortable with not being comfortable. It's fine. It's okay. If you see a surprise element and you don't know, it's okay. So become used to that situation, and try to crack them with whatever knowledge of standards you have. The best thing that you can do here is, don't aim to 100% solve it correctly. That's not most of y'all can do. That's not what majority of the students will be able to do. What you all can do here is at least attempt it, right? So attempt it, and the same scenario when you face in the exam, you're probably now comfortable with doing such surprise elements. That's the idea, and you don't panic anymore. Okay. The next thing that you can do is, you should be practicing as many ratios as you can, ratio questions as you can. The interpretation one, which is a compulsory question, which we know does come in the exam for sure, right? Now here there is a lot of content for you to read, because there are so many past questions for you. Okay, so there is a lot of content to read. So the more you read or the more you practice these sums, the better it is. And not just reading, definitely you have to drill them on your PC or laptop. You have to drill them on the worksheet. That's super important. There's also a pattern. When you solve a ratio question, there's also a pattern to it. You have to do the number crunching first, meaning you have to solve the ratios first and then give interpretation to it. So just some small quick tips over here. For solving the ratios, the number part, the numerical part at least, just don't randomly start on the worksheet. There is a table option given to you above. Insert the table depending on the number of ratios you have to calculate. So the rows and the columns, have it pre-decided, and then add that and do your ratio calculation there. Okay, do your ratio calculation there. And then after that, you could start your commenting part. And again, just one more thing that I want you all to remember for the commenting part, that whatever is the requirement of the examiner, say if the requirement of the examiner is to comment on the position and performance. So please make sure that when you're doing your answers, you have subtitles called performance and position. Let the examiner see that you have immediately catered let him see that you have immediately catered the requirement. Okay. So if you start randomly writing points, you're not maybe giving him the right impression, right? So give those subtitles to him. Next, this is for ratios. Next, there is a very important article on the ACCA website called Tell Me a Story. We're going to share the link for the same in the description, so you all can use that link. Now, I just can't explain you how important this article is. The moment you read this article, whatever level of your commenting is in a ratio question at this moment, it will definitely pull you 5 to 6 marks ahead of that. It's that kind of input this article is giving us. So not just one read, maybe you will have to read it 3 to 4 times to become familiar with the content of this article. It's a small article. Just giving it one read would require 10 minutes. And like I'm saying, use this week and not just one time, but read it a little more times. There's also one more important article on the website called Intangible Assets. Again, the link for the same has been shared. This is another important article which you should be reading, because you can expect questions from this article, specifically from this article in your coming paper, either in section A, B or in section C as a unique adjustment. Now, why am I able to say that you can expect questions from this article specifically? Because ACCA has a pattern, and this you can apply for the other papers as well. ACCA has a pattern that whatever latest article is published on their website, they do take questions from there in the coming exam. They do this, right? So this is the latest article and you can expect questions from here. The key takeaway in this article is the definitions. The definitions here, please read the definitions thoroughly, because they'll try to confuse you with different definitions, with similar sounding different definitions in MCQs, right? So please read the definitions here. They are the key takeaway here. Okay. Now, the final thing for students who are already well prepared, I would say, is just in case you have not attempted a mock yet, now is the time to do it. I know it's the last week towards the exam. Still, you should be able to do one mock right now. Because try to understand, even if you have mastered the content and you have a very good grip over the syllabus, if you don't get yourself acquainted with what kind of, if you don't get yourself acquainted with the real exam condition, you probably won't be able to identify your weaknesses during the exam. So you might think that you're familiar with something right now, but you have a tendency to freeze when you see the same content during the exam. You become cold feet. So the idea is to identify such elements right now itself and then work on them in this last week. Become super familiar with and comfortable with. Okay. So this is what I would have to say for the students who are already, who have already got a chance to do thorough practice. Some of the tips here were also, useful for the ones who have not prepared.